Yo, what's up? It's Coach Nick Money, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss day trading, specifically tricks on level 2 analysis. Let's talk about first what level 2 is. So level 2 is a tool that tells you how many bids and how many asks there are on a particular trade of a particular stock. And the way it's set up, on the bid side, you have the higher bids at the higher level going down to the lower bids, and on the ask side, you have the lower asks going to the higher asks. And you can see how many individual stocks are on either side. So that's how level 2 works, and it gives you an idea of how a particular stock is trending. If it's trending going where the buyers are in control and the price is going up, or the sellers are in control and the price is going down. Now, that being said, there are companies called market makers that are involved in moving the stock. So if there are no deals available for a trade, the market makers are responsible to buy or sell stocks to make sure that there's liquidity in the particular security. Now, what will often happen, and these market making companies use artificial intelligence, what will oftentimes happen is they'll create bids or asks that are not actually really there. So you might see a very large bid, okay, and that would be an indication that people are buying up the stock and that the price action is going to move upward, inducing people to sell their stock, when in reality it's a fake bid that's placed. The bid is not actually executed, it dissipates, there is no more price action, and the price action starts to go down instead of going in the direction that it's supposed to be going. So these are certain tricks that you'll see on level 2, and again, I'm not a stock professional. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm telling you what I do. You have to do you, all right? And take everything that I'm telling you as just a conversational type of thing that I'm sharing with you. So let's talk about how some of these fake bids occur. So you might have a fake bid, you might have a fake ask. A lot of times what you'll see is a super large bid on one side, which would indicate that there's a lot of demand, which will induce anybody who's trying to buy to outbid this large clump of price action, right? Now you outbid this large clump of price action, and all of a sudden that large price action completely disappears, and now all of a sudden the price action drops and you just paid a premium for the stock. So that's one of the things that happens. It happens also on the ask side. You might see a very large ask, right? In which case, if you're trying to sell the stock, you'll go in at a price lower than this large ask price, and in reality, the price action is moving up, and you just sold for a lot less than what you could have sold for, because there was a basically artificial price structure put in by the market makers and then withdrew before the actual execution. What else happens? Okay, one of the things that I do is I watch the candle actions when I see these large bids or asks, because the price action on the candles, you can see if there's really a lot of movement on the candle. If there's a lot of volume and a lot of actual deals that are actually closing on the stocks, the candle starts to move in a very aggressive manner one way or another before it starts moving up or down. If it's not really moving that quickly, a lot of times what basically is going on is you have a situation where those bid blocks or those ask blocks are just completely fake, and they're just there to basically trick investors into going one particular way rather than going another way. So looking at the candles and seeing whether or not the candles are actually moving in a very aggressive way is an indicator as to whether or not these blocks of bids or asks are completely legit, or if in fact they're not legit. The artificial intelligence behind these big blocks knows that people are relying on level 2, and they'll try to throw you off on level 2 by putting fake bids that they never intend to go through with, or fake asks that they never intend to go through with. Okay, what else do we do? Okay, we talked about watching candle action when you see the same. Here's another scenario. There's the same market maker that has the highest bid and the lowest ask, and there's large blocks on either side. Well, that doesn't really make any sense. Why would a market maker try to sell to each other? It doesn't make any sense, other than they're trying to push a price one way or another, either up or down. And oftentimes what will end up happening, that large block, whether it's on the bid side or the ask side, will drop out once the price action starts taking movement, and they capitalize on earning and getting people to either overpay or undersell, right? The next thing that I watch is I watch the volume candles. Okay, when you see a large block on a bid or a large block on an ask, and you have the ability with these candles to determine whether the volume is going to be primarily bearish, red, neutral, white, or green, bullish. You can look at the candles and you could look at the volume and you could look at the level 2 and you could see whether or not the level 2 is actually a legitimate bid that's actually going to be executed on, or a legitimate ask where there's actually going to be execution. If there's large volumes on either side of the bid or the ask, then if these deals are actually closing, it's going to show up in the volume candles, and it's going to show up either red, white, or green, depending on whether it's bearish, neutral, or bullish. If you see that the candles are not really that big on the volume, if the volume candles are not that big, then there's a very good possibility that the bids and asks that have these large blocks are not legit, and you shouldn't be putting too much weight into them. Finally, let's go into a couple of other things. Watching the volume, again, super important, okay? Super important, because that's going to give you an idea of what the momentum is. Are the volume candles primarily red and getting bigger and bigger and bigger, in which case we're getting into a possible sell-off, a bearish type of a situation? Are they green, where they're getting bigger, bigger, and bigger, and it's more bullish type of a situation, right? So using the volume can check any kind of trickery that's going on level 2. And finally, folks, the other thing that we do is we're willing to walk away from a trade. If it's not moving the way it needs to move, if there's too much of a gap between the bid and the ask, the level 2 doesn't look right, the candle structure doesn't look right, the candles are moving in an odd fashion, the volume is moving in an odd fashion, it doesn't matter how attractive the transaction is, if it doesn't look like it's the right setup, there's always another trade. And we're willing to walk away. We work hard on not having fear of missing out, because you know what? There's always another trade. All right, peeps, it's Coach Nick, and we're going to show you some of this beautiful scenery over here, and I'm out of here. Much love.